Welcome to another video, guys. In today's video I'm gonna show you how I do an oil change on my 2002 Ford Mustang Saleen. Go ahead and stay tuned.
Music bed.
So this is a pretty simple video, how to make your oil change or do your oil change on a new Edge Mustang with the 4.6. And pretty straightforward really, but I'm gonna show you how I do it. This is the oil that I'm using. I always use Castrol, the 520. So this particular engine takes 6 quarts and I'm using Motorcraft oil filter. So I always like to use the Motorcraft OE filter here. They work well, and they're what Ford put on them. They're not too crazy expensive really. So as far as the oil, really you can go with any kind of oil you want to go with. I just always like Castrol. Depends how low your car is. Mine is not as low as some cars, but I can still get my jack underneath because I have a kind of like a low profile jack here. It goes right underneath the bumper there. And then you want to lift it right from the cross member, and I'll show you underneath once I have it up. But if you have a lower car, then you can buy a couple of like a piece of board, like a 2x8 at Home Depot, and just put them on the front, so that way the front tires go over them. Just drive over the piece of board on both sides, and that should give you about 1.5 inches more clearance to get the jack in. Another thing I used to do is I used a smaller jack, which I have in here, one of these little ones. And so with that jack, what I would do is I would put it right here, actually right on the back of the tire, and put it right under the control arm, lift it up a little bit, and then get the big jack and go in. You just have to remember when you're lowering the car to line up the jack that's here. That way you lower that one and the car rests on this one, and then you do that one last. So but anyways, either one of those things would work for you guys. Let me get this in jack stance, and then I'll show you guys where to lift it from. All right, so I'm under the car here, and so this is where I jack up the car, cross member here. I left the jack in here for just now, just to show you guys. The jacks usually have like 4 kind of like pieces sticking out there on top, and so I always make sure the one on front goes on the back side of this cross member. Just because if you only put it here towards the front, cross member tends to be kind of on an angle, and so sometimes it tends to want to slip. It hasn't happened to me, but I don't want it to happen where it slips out. So keep that in mind. So I'm just gonna take the jack off here. Obviously I have my jack stands. And then once I'm done with the oil change, I'll go ahead and get the jack back in here, pull the car down. The other thing that you guys can do when you're here doing your oil change is look underneath your car, make sure there's no leaks on the engine. So mine, I put this new engine not too long ago. Everything's pretty decently clean. Obviously I do drive it, that's why I'm doing oil change. So there's that kind of residue that just kind of collects on everything from driving. I do have some kind of oil residue here, and this is normally when you change your oil, some of the oil drops in here. And I always spray brake cleaner, but it looks like I might have missed a little bit. I don't see anything leaking in there, so nothing really coming from the engine. It's just a little bit of kind of residue here on the rack and pinion. So I'm gonna spray brake cleaner to get this cleaned up here. Just that way it doesn't kind of keep collecting the dust. But I might, it just depends if I have some time, leave it in the jack stands and then get my pressure washer and just kind of spray underneath here before I lower it. But you know, everything under here is pretty decently clean for really a car that I drive. And I mean, there's no leaks on this car, so that's a good thing. But I'm gonna go ahead and get my drain pan in here. And then I have the drain plug right there, which I'm gonna take off here in just a second. And then I'll go ahead and drain the oil. And I believe the drain plug, normally it's like a 16 millimeter, so let's see if I do remember what it is. Yep, 16 millimeter. The oil is not too bad. There's 3,000 miles on the oil, so I mean it's kind of dirty. I mean it is you know, somewhat brown, but it's been probably close to 7-8 months since I did the oil change or put the oil in there. So yeah, you know, I like to do 3,000 miles or 1 year. Surprisingly though, I'll be honest, for having put this new engine in there, it's a little bit darker than I thought it would have been, considering everything was new in there. But also, you know, new engines go through like first oil changes, all the stuff kind of wears out on them and things like that. So I'm not too worried. I mean, here on the pan, when I look at it, I don't know if you can kind of see it in the camera, but it does have that like goldish kind of hue on there, so it's not too bad. But I definitely would have not left it longer than the 3,000 miles. Now I'm gonna do the oil filter here front. So normally in these new edges, it's a horrible design. Actually, even the older, you know, Fox bodies, the oil filter's right here. You take the oil filter off, and all the oil drops right here on the rack and pinion. And then there's this little kind of a, I don't know, it looks like a big nut here under the rack and pinion. I think this is where you can take it apart to rebuild them, and it all collects right in there. And so, I mean, that was a really horrible, you know, idea. I mean, obviously no one's gonna think about oil change when they're putting an engine together, but I am gonna go ahead and see if I can get a piece of cardboard, and I'll show you guys a little trick there for that. So this is what I like to do, just get a piece of cardboard and slip it right in here. Fold this end a little bit, just that way the oil doesn't go that way. But that's gonna catch the oil that drips down and just let it fall right here. So let me put this drain plug back in. Tighten it up, not too crazy. Don't go getting your impact for that. And then I'm just gonna move my oil pan, drain pan right low here to the front, and get my oil filter wrench. And I think I got my small one, so this ain't gonna work. So got my larger one here. I don't see a size on this one, but you know, when you're gonna go get your filter, just get your filter and grab one that's gonna go around it. And then I'm just gonna turn it here, get it loose. And you can actually wait to put this cardboard till after you get your filter loose, but I had already put it on there. So. Alright, so I'm gonna get the filter loose here. And you see the oil is gonna drip and then just catch on that cardboard. And just let it drain. It's not too much oil that comes out of there, but it's enough to get all over that rack and pinion and then just collect all that dust like you see there on mine. So once you take the filter off, you'll get a little bit more coming out of there. And so what I do is once it goes all the way to the end of the threads, I just kind of hold the filter and then just pull it out slightly like that, just to let it drain. Then tip it a little bit. Then you can go ahead and get the filter out of here. So the other bad thing with manual cars is that clutch cable is right on the way as well of the oil filter, so you always have to fight that, you know, kind of right on your way. So there's that. I'm gonna grab my new oil filter, and just before I spray this oil here, I'm gonna put a little bit of this on the O-ring. And you can do new oil if you like, I mean whichever. It's just going on the O-ring, so it's no big deal. Alright, so it looks like there's no more oil draining. I'm just going to pull this cardboard, put it right there on my drain pan for now. Get my oil filter back in here. And then just line it up and tighten it up. Now with your oil filters, you don't have to use that wrench to tighten them. I just do it by hand, so just make sure you're grabbing it pretty good. Get it tight enough. If you don't feel like you're tying it tight enough, then you can put the wrench in there. Just make sure you only do like a very small amount. And just always make sure the old O-ring comes in your oil filter here. If not, it's going to make a mess when you start it. And since I'm here, I'm just going to spray that rack and pinion really good. All right, there we go. So there's the oil drain, filter change. Now we just have to fill it with oil. I'm gonna go ahead and get my jack in here. Making sure everything's out of the way. Get my jack stamps out of the way here. And since I cleaned it with the brake cleaner, I'm not gonna spray the pressure washer on there right now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and lower it. Alrighty, so once you're down underneath, you can go on top and fill up your oil. So I'm just gonna take the dipstick out. And then we'll go ahead and get the oil cap off. And I think I talked about this on when I did the oil change on my truck, about the oil fill tube there on the valve cover. So, you know, on these engines, even like the F-150s on those years, with the 2-valve, they have this straight spout where you can just put your funnel and it rests nice and easy in there. And they kind of stopped doing that. I know GM did it on their like the LS engines, and I think when I did the new GMC Sierra not too long ago, they didn't have that anymore. And so, you know, this just makes it easier. You don't have to hold your funnel, it's right on there. And so first I'm just gonna put the 5 quarts from this jug in there, since I know it's gonna need more than this. I used to always use, you know, 1 of these gallons and then put a like a Lucas oil stabilizer in there to make it the 6 quarts. You know, I haven't done it on this one. I used to do it, so I might just start doing it. I just like the way the Lucas kind of has like the sticky substance on it, but you know, I don't really know if it's got to do something, I guess, but you know, I can't say, yeah, it does, it's better or anything like that, but that's what I used to do. I don't have one of those right now that I know. Actually, let me check. I do not. I always keep stuff in there, so I forget what I have, but so, you know, I might do that next oil change. But that's the only thing that, other than the full synthetic, that I use, just Lucas oil stabilizer. So. Just a little tiny bit more. That's the 6 quarts right there. And then remember, if you have an oil catch can like I do here, I'm gonna go ahead and drain that as well. So with boosted applications, really with any engine, you get oil kind of going through your PCV valve system. but especially with boosted engines, so gonna drain that from there. And I'm just cleaning the little container here with brake cleaner. But you should drain these every oil change. Well, if you do like every 3,000 miles. Sometimes I even take it out before then. There's some oil in there, so if you go more than 3,000 miles, like the manufacturer recommends going like 6,000 on some of the newer engines, then if you have an old catch can, you probably want to empty that out twice before. But get our funnel out of there and put our oil cap back in there. So that's it with the oil change. So last thing I do on this car is I do put like an oil change sticker on here, and so I'll just get a new sticker here. If I can get my keys out. And I just put it on the windshield here, and so I'll just get one of those to make sure I keep track of the mileage, and then that's pretty much it. So, you know, go ahead and when you're done, get your old oil. What I like to do is put it back into the gallon jug here and take it to recycle, or you can keep it in your drain pan and take it to recycle. But that's it. You know, if you have any questions, comments, guys, leave them down in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, hit the thumbs up. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you.